doing the work.
Let me go around to the other side where Christine is.
The clippers for you.
Okay. So here's one side of it.
What's he doing there?
Marking places that we're going to make repairs.
Where I screwed up.
Oh,
Oh, it's easy. The side you can't see.
Is hard.
Christine, I'm going to step behind you.
Something can go a little bit wrong, and if it was on top, you'd see it immediately, but on the bottom, you don't know it there.
Have faith, and sometimes.
Gosh, I think there's at least 1 or 2 places where there's a hole.
Your salvages are great.
Extra missing on the bottom side. But they'll show up, and I'll get those fixed
Got
before
an
it
orange
washes.
here or something that could use a snip.
It looks velvety. You know,
It's
it
a
looks
little
like a
chenille.
velour. Yeah.
Very beautiful.
Now, how do you plan the colors? Did you just count? Did you like literally draw it and say, okay, here's the checker pattern I want?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then
Pull
does
that
math
corner
have
toward
to?
you.
Just
Yeah, there we
very
go.
gently in case there's another one we missed, but I think we've got it. Yeah, there's a couple errors. You'll see when you open that up, there's one, like I say,
Maybe there's something to this weaving thing after
but I
all.
can fix
So then,
that.
how did she? So fold it in half. So you were weaving it this way,
No,
This way.
This is the weft.
because you
right? But I'm sorry, but she was sitting here.
Oh, you mean
Yes.
where did I
Right.
start?
So because it was
Yes.
folded in half.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the center.
That
We're
was
gonna
the weft.
pull those magenta threads
So
out.
you
They were temporary.
Oh,
Really?
I was wondering about that.
There's
That
a
was all on
tendency
the
to have,
bottom.
you get drawing at that selvage where it bends,
Yeah.
and we want to try and keep it from pulling in as much as we can. So we doubled some threads up to make them bigger, and we're going to pull them out.
Oh, forget it.
It helps. It makes a big difference.
Okay.
It's like a basting line.
Wow, what
It's
beautiful
just,
colors.
instead of it
It's a
being-
holder.
the yarns there being that size, all of a sudden they're that size, and they won't pull together as much. And we pull the other one out, and they're closer to the spacing of the rest of it.
So the warp threads, color-wise, she had different ones here, here, and here.
Yeah,
But it's the same colored warp going all the way up, 3 sets of it.
Right.
Mine-
Like the reason
Three
I'm seeing
long
color
warps.
differences
Yeah,
here are
these
because the
were-
weft is interacting with the color of the warp differently.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I think it's extra, and I just have to pull it out. Double.
Yeah, so when you look at,
Is we had to snip this thread. And what we want to do is to make an inconspicuous repair that's going to be structurally sound. We don't want a weak spot in the fabric. So when I started weaving, this was my pair of scissors. They actually are very good for this. When we spliced in a new weft yarn, what we did is overlap them and have a tapered end on each end, yes. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a piece of the warp yarn. There are a million different yarn needles out there in the world. The ones we have here that are plastic are kind of a problem because the eye is huge. This works pretty well, and it's not very sharp, which is exactly what you want. If you have a real sharp needle, you're forever going through things rather than around them. So what I got to do to start with is we're going to be able to see this. I'm going to double up that yarn. So I see where it is.
what is it? What was the problem?
The thread didn't follow the shed correctly, and it connected the 2 layers together.
Yeah.
So we had to snip it to be able to open it up. And what I did was to mark it so I know where it is. Finding things in a piece this size, it's real easy. Actually, where I'm going to make this splice, because I want it to be inconspicuous, is on the other side of the orange. Because on the orange, you'll see it a little bit more. So we're going to take this away.
So you're just going up and under?
Yeah, I'm going right where the thread that I snipped, going through its path.
Okay.
And it will take a minute. And you just hope you didn't do this right at the selvage, then it's harder. Much harder.
No, I could put my finger in there every so often. So I have heard of using a mirror at the bottom, but I just don't.
I wouldn't
see
bother.
keeping track of it. I just.
No, I would do exactly what you did.
Yeah.
And this is the plain weave, tabby
Yes.
stitch?
Yep. Tabby, that's a funny word. People use it two different ways. An awful lot of people use it to mean plain weave, but it actually, technically, is a balanced plain weave. So you have the same amount of warp as weft.
Which is what this is?
It's pretty close.
It's not quite, because these would be square if I had gotten it quite
Yeah.
pushed.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a tapered end here, so I'm going to pull it now until that tapered end is inside the fabric. And now I want to break off the offending end and get a tapered end inside the fabric. And that's where we're going to use the scissors.
But wait, have you tied the snipped end?
No, nothing's tied.
Nothing's tied.
Nothing's going to be tied.
No, no.
Just
Then
through the
how does this
washing.
work?
Through the
Washing
washing.
machine will grab.
Oh, it just kind of becomes.
They're side by
They become
side.
one.
That's nuts. That's nuts. I would think you snip that and the whole thing would unravel, but I don't know anything. So.
Okay, what I want to do is I want to weaken that yarn where I want to break it, but I don't want to cut through a ply. We don't want any abrupt ends to the yarn. We want them to be nice and tapered. So I put the new thread in on my right, so the one on my left is the one I want to weaken. And
No, wait, why do you want to
This
do
is
that?
the
Why
part
are
that
you
terrifies
weakening
me.
we want to break it inside the fabric.
the yarn you just put in there?
No, the old one.
The old one.
Right,
Well, then you
okay.
can pull out the little.
So you're not cutting it all the way through. You're just
I'm trying to be very gentle.
gently.
This is easier to do with Shetland because it breaks more easily, but we will get this. Okay. You don't want to tug now because it acts as a drawstring. What you want to do is hold on to it
Uh-oh.
and find the right end, this one, and let's see if I weakened it enough.
Look at that.
Gone.
Wow.
No sign of it. It's right there.
I hope I got that.
But you can see that what I have inside the fabric is a nice tapered end that's just going to stay in there and not give you a weak spot. What happens now is we want to do the same thing down here, only we'll have to score two threads this time and break them both off.
So Tom, how much overlapping?
Just like we were doing with the
An
weft, inch and a half.
Inch
That's,
with the honey.
if it's cotton, I would do more of an overlap because it doesn't felt, doesn't stick to itself the same. The wool's really good at being Velcro-ish.
What about something like cashmere, which is fairly slippery, right?
It's actually easy.
Oh, it is.
It's very easy.
All the animal fibers tend to stick together, right?
They tend to, yes. Yeah.
How does silk act? Silk is a celluloid, isn't it?
No, it's a protein.
Oh, it is. But
Um,
does it act like a celluloid?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yeah. For all intents and purposes.
treated like it.
Yeah. The other place that silk is different is its behavior when it's wet. That
Frogs, right?
if you go on whitewater rafting,
Don't wear
silk is one of the things to wear.
Oh, it is?
It doesn't get cold when it's wet, just like wool.
Like wool.
That's the one place where it's different than the cellulose. I mean, you don't want to wear cotton in a
Right.
situation like that because you get,
So that's why they have silk hiking underwear.
Long underwear.
yeah, it's really good.
Used to be able to get silk sock liners. I don't know if you still can.
I have a
The
silk
polyesters.
sleeping bag liner. It's very luxurious.
Well, you're talking about things you don't want to get cold because that's really miserable.
So Tom, you're only repairing one thread.
Yeah, this is one area. We had one problem here, and I'm still working on the repair for it.
You basically, you have to cut the thread to step so the blanket can open.
Yes.
And then you add in, following the cut thread's path, a bridge that's torn on either end, and then you tear
The old one.
the edges of the broken bit, so that then when you wash them, it all magically
It'll never be noticed. It's not weak.
totally blows.
I'll bring
my
it back
mind.
next week.
This is like stem cell.
It'll be perfect. It'll be perfect.
Weaving. Like I'm like my brain is just like I can't handle it. Like I just can't believe that this works this easily.
So, Amy, you're just gonna carefully remove those magenta threads?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a two-person job.
Really?
Well, it's you have to hold on to it so for the thing to really pull out, because it wants to just bring the whole thing along.
No, like
But it
here,
works.
what's this? This isn't broken. It's just like a loop.
That's where we cut it.
We
That's
cut
where
it.
we cut it.
It's essentially the same. There's one broken thread there.
And so do you do that the same thing here, or you just kind of wiggle this one back into place?
No. We're going to do the same thing basically.
No.
Wouldn't washing this, that wouldn't just kind of wiggle back into place? Because it's not cut. Is it? It looks like it's just a loop. I don't want to pull it.
Oh, this one is just a loop.
Yeah.
The cut is on the other side.
Right.
So he marks both.
Imagine
Yeah.
that loop
Yeah.
is 2 inches.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
We
The
break
cap,
it
like-
and
Yeah.
But I
and
feel like this one you could, no, you
it,
can't.
it's possible we
Maybe
can
I'm
move it
being
along.
lazy.
Part of it is the side that
Right.
got cut. You know, we were trying to pull it gently
Right,
and watch
right.
for that. So if it had got pulled quite a bit,
Okay.
it would have been a little more effort.
All right, now on the left I have the original thread, and on the right I have my new thread. And what I'm going to do is get rid of the original thread, and I just want a little more of it out of there so I can hold on to it to break it. Okay, now I'm going to weaken it.
That makes me nervous. Scissors in the blanket.
This is the one time watching him, I just like, you
The-
know, watching
screw
him
it
do
up.
it on.
Well, that
Not even mine when he did it last
that
year.
black cashmere
Yeah, you did
is
it on
this is
yeah.
really difficult
Yeah.
because you can't see it,
Right.
Yeah.
especially with old eyes.
Well, and the finer the thread, I mean, you know, like some of your things are so lace weight. I mean, my goodness, how are you gonna?
I didn't score it enough.
Where? Somewhere in New Hampshire. I've been looking for my friend, because she wants one.
Luckily, no one keeps track of how many hours you actually put into doing things like this.
You've said that you can spend twice as long
Oh, yeah.
fixing as
Yep.
weaving.
Yep.
Would you, Tom? Would you often make big blankets like this, or do you tend to do more shawl?
I used to do the queen-size blankets out of the designer yarn.
Yeah.
And-
I bet those were great.
And it was really funny for years in New York City. Who bought it was always male couples, always.
Oh,
Really?
interesting.
Sweet.
Oh, funny.
Why that would
Extra
happen,
snuggly.
I have no idea. The whys.
What did the straight
They
couples
have
buy?
good taste.
That's true. That's a compliment,
The
Tom.
throws.
Yeah, they do. They have good taste.
That's true.
The throws sell very well to women.
Isn't that funny?
Isn't that funny? Well, you figure a giant queen size blanket is like a really masculine throw. It's like there are two men in the house.
Could be.
They need like uber manly, super thick throws.
Yeah, one of the engineers I'm working with now is half of a gay couple, and he's hilarious because, you know, as people were
There you
allowed
go.
to be gay,
Here
he
you
has
go.
these very masculine things and
can-
other things very, yeah.
You can see where it is,
Yeah,
but
the
it's
double,
never
right?
going to catch your
Yeah,
eye.
never.
You're never going to see it.
And after washing, you'll never see it.